What's at stake is really the very health of democracy. Democratic societies rely on well-informed citizens who understand the facts on the ground, who can make good decisions when they go to the ballot box. They need to know what's true, what's accurate.
Now we're in a place where the vast majority of Americans are on social media and they're getting their health information and their news information from those platforms.
I think that people have become skeptics about the truth. People are very skeptical about what they read online, the sources from which the information comes. That is an existential threat.
IDDP is a relatively new institute at GW, started in June of 2019.
IDDP's mission is to develop essentially a new science of combating online harms.
To really bring together researchers across a wide discipline of fields: media, government, public health, engineering, computer science, and have their different expertise weigh in to really examine the question of what social media is in our lives and how it affects our well-being.
Whereas before, maybe some of us were working on vaccine communication and others were working on hate speech and others were working on, factual correction online, what IDDP does is says, hold on guys, this is all part of a bigger problem. This is a part of a bigger problem called misinformation, disinformation, and online harms. What IDDP does is it gives us the real-world infrastructure that we need to take these ideas, move them from the stage where, hey, that's a cool idea, and turn that into an actual result.
So the systems engineer, or the computer scientist, is going to bring a number of tools that allow us to really look at large amount of complex data and pull it apart in interesting ways and see what's going on within those complex systems. We can then take that analysis and use a public health perspective to narrow down the problem at hand, to say with the kind of substantive understanding of that issue where we need to focus more or what the public health component of that really is. And then if we want to make changes, we need to be working with legal scholars who understand what's the lay of the land in terms of the law in the US and beyond. We wanted to work with policymakers to change the policies writ large. We need to understand that landscape from the very beginning. That's what defines what's possible for us. So we bring all of these things together and we have a holistic way to first understand and second address the problem at hand.
My research is about understanding what is the current health information ecosystem on social media, and then doing different kinds of experiments to learn what we can manipulate to make it really health promoting.
I'm really interested in free speech values and combating misinformation on social media platforms. I'm coming at it from the perspective of First Amendment values, information privacy values, etc. With being at the Institute, I have the top person at the School of Public Health who's working on the very same sorts of issues. Same thing with the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences.
My background is actually as a systems engineer, which means we look at the overlap between engineering and society. We're really interested in how people interpret and understand the technology that they work with, and then how we can design that technology in order to help people get the most value out of it. We've specifically, in my group, focused on vaccination and how people understand online narratives about vaccination.
We have a lot of people whose attitudes to COVID-19 prevention, vaccines for COVID-19, vaccines in general, are being swayed and influenced by the health information environment, the misinformation that's out there.
And so one of the things that we do is we study how we can help the vaccine hesitant population to really understand what it is that vaccines are doing. Calm some of their fears, in many cases fears that are not based on facts, not based on science, that are nevertheless being stoked by the anti-vaccine agenda.
We want to have partnerships with these social media platforms. This work can't be done in isolation. So we have reached out to them. We have different kinds of collaborations going with them, hosted conferences where we've invited the social media companies to present the kinds of initiatives they're taking on, and they very much are taking on public health initiatives and need guidance on how to do that best.
The social media platforms that I have worked with and that I have studied, they generally want to do the right thing. And part of what we do is to help figure out what are the values that should be embodied in the technology, to collaborate and come together so that we can really have a brain trust to explore these fascinating and difficult issues.
One of the most exciting things about IDDP is that we have direct links to policymakers on Capitol Hill and people at the platforms. We hope to see that the research that we do here at IDDP will directly lead to changes in regulations, changes in the ways platforms operate, changes in the way that public health officials communicate to broader audiences, changes in the way that journalists not only report on online content, but use online content in order to help people get a better sense of what's actually going on in the world.
I really do think that IDDP will be a leading voice in this space. We're doing world-class research, and I think that is going to stand out and speak for itself. I believe that in the next couple of years, we'll be looking at changes that have happened in the regulatory environment that have come about directly as a result of IDDP's work.